The lonely little worm. Dan has a pet. It's not the typical one you see. Dan has a worm. It's very tiny. Dan had a problem that was making him so sad. No one would play with his worm. He was very mad. Dan went to run some errands. His worm was on display. The cashier laughed. I've got second-hand embarrassment. Put it away. But it's so cute. Don't you like what you see? Absolutely not. It's making me feel queasy. Dan was very embarrassed. He was so upset. He took his frustration out on strangers on the internet. Dan loved his pet. It was his one and only friend. His worm was sad and lonely. It could no longer pretend. His worm had had enough. He packed his bags and left. When Dan noticed, he sobbed, completely bereft. The worm was on an adventure with endless possibilities. Now it had left behind Dan's negativity. The worm ploughed through gardens and into a few holes. It was so moist in there, absolute worm goals. Mr. Worm was no longer crusty and dry. When he saw something he didn't like, he just crawled on by. Life for Mr. Worm couldn't get any better. He was very good at draining. He was very clever. But life for Dan went right downhill. He trolled strangers for hours and felt no guilt. Dan tried to find another mate. He scoured his garden till it was very late. I found one. I'm not lonely anymore. You're big, aren't you? Score. Dan stayed awake all night playing with his new worm. The worm wasn't having fun. Dan made him squirm. Come with me, let me show you something neat. They went to his computer. Here, take a seat. They saw a video. It was really funny. Dan didn't laugh. He just spat out his dummy. The worm watched Dan type out his negative words. The worm thought, this guy is really getting on my nerves. The next day it was hot, sunny and dry. New Mr. Worm went sunbathing. He committed suicide. The moral of the story is this: negative comments won't make you feel any better, and it definitely won't make your worm any wetter. The end.